Alright, guys, I am back. I know it's been a minute. I kind of left y'all pretty quiet for a good while, you know. Of course, I know it's my third video and no one really cares, but that's okay, dude. I honestly do these for myself, you know. I honestly do this for my childhood self, the little me that had hopes and dreams and possibilities and a lot of potential, and I know in some ways he's existing within my own eyes and he's seeing the viewpoints of what I'm seeing as a 25-year-old. And I know for sure he would be really happy, honestly. I know it takes time. I know it's about the consistencies of going back and forth and stuff. And I know it's like, bro, it's just a video. Who cares? For me, honestly, only I care. And plus, these are like little notes I'm leaving behind in case that does happen, But all in all, though, I've been pretty chill. It's pretty chill. Had this current job. I know this is basically an update video about that, but it's pretty chill. It's pretty easy. But honestly, work is work. You know. I'm not saying that in a way that, oh my gosh, man, I don't want this job anymore. I'm not trying to sound like a Gen Z in a way, and I don't blame them sometimes. They probably dealing with more intense stuff, but at the same time, when you get to a job, don't get me wrong, like it's nice, and all that stuff, but like a job is a job. I know I'm gonna try to find that footage, but this honestly reminds me of this one specific character in Elden Ring, where it's the blacksmith, And every time you go to the blacksmith, he's just always there in the same spot, hammering that sword, smacking it back and forth, He's just doing the same job over and over again for his entire existence in playing the game. And he always says this one specific line every single time. Not in the beginning, but as you're going through the entire game, however long you play it, 10 hours to 100 hours to 1,000 hours, He just says, what's the word? He says something about, oh, it's all the same, let's get smithing, And then you just hear him hammering the sword every single, like you can just stand there for 15 minutes and he's just doing the same thing. And even in Endgame, Elden Ring, when you burn down a tree, spoilers, if you burn down the tree and he's actually he's chained up to the wall, I think, but basically his chains are gone and he's still working and the world is going on. His world is burning up and stuff, and he knows he's gonna die, but he still keeps going, And I'm not saying this to be negative and to be, not to say sad, but work is work, You gotta keep pushing, you gotta keep providing, for your kids, your family, even if it's just yourself. You gotta keep providing for yourself because you're the one living it, And the job is always the same either way. If you're getting paid $12 an hour, 15, or even up to 25, a job's a job. I know it's like, well, there's easier ways to do it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. And yes, you should honestly find a way to progress in life. Yeah, but a job is a job. Someone's gotta get it done. Someone has to get it through. I know it's like there's that idea of you gotta work smarter, not harder, but like a job's a job, It's like a puzzle. You gotta learn how to figure out these puzzles, early on in the game, And not that I'm already frustrated, but I've kind of have this realization of work in a way. I know I'm saying work so many times. But it's just that frustration. It's like, damn, I gotta be here for a good while and stuff. But It's a part of the grind that I need. Well, honestly, I'm not sure if you do, but it's something you need to know that it's gonna be a long. It's about the long game, you know. It's about what you do with your habits and all that stuff, and you just need to, you know, you need to lock in. You need to adapt. You need to grow. You know, you need to go to the gym. You know, I'm just here to tell you, and I'm also kind of telling myself that you need to keep pushing. You know, mainly it's because I also overthink, and you know, it's just to not give up on myself. I'm not saying I have fully given up, but there's just times where it just gets hard. You know, where like my mind just it's in shock or something. You know, like you know how you just overthink, and it's like, damn, this really is being a big toll in my head. But no, you know, you gotta keep pushing. You gotta adapt. You know, and I'm not saying I have a crazy backstory or anything, but it's like when you aren't taught about these social cues and all these things about grinding, or you don't really go outside, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm an incel. I'm not necessarily so much, but you know, it's just what happens when you don't have enough experience early on. It's just like, oh, dude, you gotta figure it out in a way, but for yourself, like how you want to live your life, you know, for the rest of it, you know. And mind you, I'm 25, you know, I'm barely figuring this out, you know. Not everybody has it, but oh no, it's just working on your own preferences, what you want to do, how you how you how you deal with the social parts of life at work or with your friends and stuff. But you gotta live it, you know, and that's something I haven't really done necessarily for a while. I've kind of just been living, you know, through people's orders, you know. But I'm just here to tell you the main thing is just you gotta live your life, dude, and you gotta figure it out, and you gotta lock in, you know. I'm not saying that it's gonna be a giant jump here from there, but my process, like, you can't waste it, you know. I'm just saying that because I care, you know. If I had to be honest, whoever does care about these videos, do I know what I'm doing? Hell no, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even got a PC for this, dude. But I'm not too tripped about it. At least I'm doing something. But I'll figure it out. I found a way, at least to finally make longer videos, but it takes time. And plus, I'm gonna change up some of the videos to Forza because the new game came out. I would love to just enjoy making gameplay, you know, and stuff. But it's honestly all about it, really. Let me know what you guys think. You know, if you're going through tough times, just know you gotta keep pushing, no matter what. It's just like this game, you know. It gets tiring, you know, but you gotta remember to care about yourself later.